Okay, to turn on this lathe, you need to plug it in down there, and then you need to go through the steps that Alan has up here. First thing is when you turn it on, you're going to get F4 up there. Okay? Then you hit the one button one time, and you got A. One time again you got B. One time again you got C. One time again you got H. Then you got D1. And now you hit the function key.
Excuse me, Art. What are those? A, B, C, D, E, H?
No idea.
Okay. Good. All right.
This is the way it's set up. This is the way you got to do it.
Just do this.
You just use it to run it. Hit the function key. You got 0, 0, which is your hertz supposedly. Now because this lathe doesn't have this button is dead, does not work, doesn't have an emergency stop. Always make sure that you know what the speed is before you put anything out here. Just hit the run button. It's going fairly slow. Slow it down all the way. Turn it up. You hit the stop button. Turn it off. Also, whenever you put anything on this lathe, don't stand in front of it. If something's going to come off of it, it's going to come that way or that way. So always stand over to the side. Okay? Always use safety equipment. Use a shield or safety glasses. If not, make your first project cane because you're going to need it. Okay? And I'm serious about safety because, you know, we're putting a saw stop so your finger doesn't get cut off. Well, one of those magazines that I brought in has an obituary for an old-time turner who wasn't wearing a face shield and had a piece of wood fly off. Now they're gone. So you really got to know what kind of wood you're using. All right, first thing I did, I'm not going to do much turning. Kind of made things up so that we could go along pretty fast and get. First thing is spindle turning. Okay? Spindle turning is what you guys would probably want to do because you want to make legs. A lot of you want to make legs and stuff. This is just kind of a sample leg. In spindle turning, there's only really two things. There's coves, in and out, and there's up and down, which are coves and round. Yeah, okay, round or beads and coves. That's all. Everything else. All those finials over there that I made, they're just beads and coves.
Those dark wood ones? The tops?
The tops.
You made those, huh?
Yeah. And they're just beads and tops. They're just beads and coves. That's all the whole thing is. First thing you do is find the center. I found the center of both of these. I made marks on them. Okay. All right. This is when I started. Put it in the hole. Bring the tailstock up. Whoops. Gotta get them both in. This is, our tailstock is an old style tailstock, so it's a little harder to find that hole there. Alright, tighten it down. First thing I gotta do is tighten down this. This is locking it to the bed. Okay. Tighten the wheel. Break a toe, yeah. Put your tool rest down. Tool rest should be either a little below or at the center for most tools. And every tool's got a little different. Try to get as close as you can. Spin it by hand to make sure it's not hitting the tool rest. And now you can run. And as you see, every time you put something on, you have to true it up. You always have to true it up. It's never going to be right.
What do you mean by that? True up?
It's out of round.
It's out of round. You got to make it round. Okay? I'm going to use one of the clutch tools. roughing gouge. Easiest tool to use. Okay? We're just going to rough it a little bit and then go on to the next thing. There's a speed gauge up here that says what you should, supposedly what you should. The new idea is when it's comfortable. If it's too fast, slow it down. If it's not comfortable for you, slow it down. Make sure that everything's comfortable. Okay? Grip it against your body. Lock it on the tool rest. ABC. Always anchor on the tool rest. B. Find the bevel. The bevel of the tool. Find the bevel. Line the bevel up. Bring it down a little bit. And start turning. C is the cut. Move it a little faster. Knocking off the corners, you got to be a little careful with, be a little more gentle, but once you get into it, you can really go. We're over here, and knocking off the corners. Making a cove. Spindle turning always cut downhill. Boom, boom, both sides coming in at spindle turning. Okay. The reason I'm not going to do too much turning, twofold. Number one, it's boring for the rest of you. Number two, there are hundreds of videos online to teach you how to turn. You don't need me to teach you how to turn. What you need me to do is show you how to use this lathe and how to be safe with this lathe. And that's what we're going to try to do.
How easy is this lathe to use, in your opinion, from using other lathes?
It's just as easy as any other lathe. It might not be as safe as some of the other lathes I use, but it's just as easy. You can do anything on this lathe. You can do anything from a 14-inch bowl, because you got 7 inches on either side, to a pen or a, you can do this pen on it, or bottle stoppers. You can do anything on this lathe. And it's got a real long bed, so you can do some great not finials, what do they call them when you put it, when you use it on a
Baluster?
balusters. You can do great balusters on this lathe. Perfect for it. And again, it's only beads and coves to do a baluster. Okay? So I made different, went on for different parts, beads, coves, V-grooves, V-grooves. Really simple. Okay, where is a skew chisel? That was a roughing gouge. This is a skew chisel. Okay, on one of these, yeah, this one. Here's how the roughing gouge comes out, and here's how the skew chisel comes out. It comes out real smooth. You can use a skew chisel and smooth it. Once I get it chewed up and round, it'll be perfect. You could actually not have to sand it. Okay? Now I'll make a V-groove. This isn't exactly round, so it's a little harder, but there's V-grooves.
Have you, if you wanted to make a baluster or some spindle that had a, let's say you're doing a chair, all right, you want four the same. What do you do? Draw it out on paper and then cut it out with scissors and then hold it up to your spinning
You
wheel?
make yourself a map.
Okay.
And you'd hold it up here and you'd say, okay, from here to here, I mark it out, and then I need a groove, or I need a bead or whatever, and you just keep going all the way along. And again, you don't need me to teach you that. It's online. They got people online who teach who will show you how to do that, and you do a good job. Okay, another thing about safety. Always, always, if you can, use the tail rest. The tail stop. Always, if you can. Sometimes you can't. And we'll get to that in a minute here. Okay, let's go over here. All right. First thing I got here. Okay, now that, if you expand on that, that is spindle turning. You've done it. You've done it all. Beads, grooves, keep going, and you can make any kind of spindle. Or those little finials. Knockout bar. That's how you get. Seems pretty primitive, but this is the way to do it. Take it out. It's called a Morris taper. The number 2 Morris taper fits in there. When it's in there, it locks it in. Okay? Some things on a lathe are pretty primitive. Okay, where was I with that hole I had?
It's up on the bench there.
Oh, okay. Right in front of my notes, okay. Alright, I started out a bowl here. Just took a piece of wood, it's a piece of olive that was laying around here, went over to the bandsaw, cut it as round as I could, figured out where the center was, cut it as round as I could. Now, this is a faceplate. Faceplate is probably the safest turning piece of turning. Put it on the faceplate. Bring up the tail rest again, because I can have it on here. I don't need not to. Eventually in the bowl you will need not to, but right now I don't need not to. Lock it down. Okay. Bring your tail rest, your tool rest as tight as you can get it.
There's shorter ones up there too?
There are shorter ones. You can use the longer ones, just use them on an angle. Take a bowl gouge, which we have some here. I'm going to use one of my own. Bowl gouge is different. And roughing gouge, got a whole different kind of profile. That's all they're talking about, profile here. And basically the scoop is the big difference. You can pass these tools around and see what the different ones are.
You're not going to address sharpening today, are you?
I'm going to just show you what sharpening is. Again, I'm just showing, because anything we do here, you can find online. You don't, so we don't have to make a whole long demonstration. I'm trying to make it as short as possible. Okay. Bowl gouge, the bubbles on. Okay, again, if I was going to work with it, I'd have to chew it up. Every time you work with it, you got to chew it up. Piece of olive. Piece of olive, you can smell it. I just made the indentation for the bowl there. The next thing we need to do, and I keep on going, shaping the bowl ordinarily. Right now I'm going to take, this is called a Bedine tool. It's a French skew. What the French use is a skew. Okay, here in the United States, we kind of use it